Before we start the program, I would like to request all of you, please put your mobile phones on the silent mode. Thank you. The second day of the 8th National Media Conclave has begun. We have spent one complete day over here yesterday, interacting, enriching, and gaining a lot of knowledge from the dignitaries and the esteemed guests. Bhubaneswar is the temple city where this National Media Conclave is organized and held every year during this part of November. Just beginning the program, today's plenary session 4, the theme of the session is Application and Use of AI in Newsrooms, which itself says that it is a very debatable topic because the acceptance lies between the human beings and the artificial intelligence. So me not wasting a lot of time on the topic, I would like to invite the esteemed guests on the dais. Chairperson, Professor Biplab Loho Chaudhary, Professor, Center for Journalism and Mass Communication, Vishwa Bharati University. Sir, could you please come on the dais and take your seat. Next, Shishir Sinha, Associate Editor, The Hindu Business Line, New Delhi. Sir, if you are here, please could you come on the dais? Please could you come on the dais? Thank you. Professor Dev Vrat Singh, Head and Dean, Department of Mass Communication, Central University of Jharkhand, Ranchi. You are most welcome on the dais. Thank you, sir. Mr. Shebabroto Banerjee, Business Head of News at Odisha Television Network. Sir, are you here? I think right now he's not here, but he will be here in a couple of minutes. So right now I hand over the podium and the microphone to Professor Biplab Loho Chaudhary, the chairperson of this plenary session. Sir, you can take the podium.
Suprabhat to all of you who are in the audience and the chairs. I hope the chairs will be filled up as early as possible. So, without wasting any time, okay.
Sorry, sir. Sorry for the interruption. Before we begin the program, we would like to light the lamp in memories of Dr. Hare Krishna Mahatab and pay him the offerings with flowers. Please, everyone sitting on the dais, please could you go and light the lamp. So we are all on the dais. We are paying homage to Dr. Hare Krishna Mahatab, and we will be lighting the lamp. Thank you, sir. Some applause, please, from the audience. Please, applause from the audience. Thank you, sirs. Thank you so much. Lighting of the lamp. Sirs, please take your seats. Now there is a small felicitation. The guests on the dais would be receiving saplings and badges as a token of felicitation from the 8th National Media Conclave. Professor Dr. Rupendra Padi felicitating Dr. Biplab Loho Chaudhary. Applause please. Congratulations, sir. Dr. Padi felicitating Shishir Sinha. Dr. Padi felicitating Devrat Singh, Professor Devrat Singh. Thank you, sir. Professor Padi, the chairperson of the National Media Conclave, who has been arranging such wonderful conclaves down the years, specifically for the last 8 years. So with a big thanks to him, I would like now request, instead of me talking about the theme presentation, I would now request Chairperson Professor Biplab Loho Chaudhary to start the program.
Fine. All are introduced. So, none of us require more introduction. Opening remarks. Acha, fine. So, we are into a very good session. Application and use of AI in newsrooms. Application and use of AI in newsrooms. Fine. So, with me, there are two able experts who had practically done on both sides from where the media professionals are emerging and sharing their experiences. In my left side, left is actually creative side. So, in my left side is Shishir Sinha. Shishir had a very good grounding in economics, masters in economics. He is from Patna. And then he had the chance of learning reporting from none other than Professor B.R. Gupta, B.R. sir. Because at one point of time I was also listening about B.R. Gupta sir is great in reporting and editing. ये बहुत कम मिलता है हमारा फील्ड में, प्रैक्टिकली सिखाने का जो बाद में काम पे लगेगा. हाँ, ज्यादा से ज्यादा हमारे नॉलेज रिडंडेंट हो जाता है. तो शिशिर ने इसके बाद मीडिया में रहा, पहले हिंदी मीडिया में रहा, और द एक्स्ट्राऑर्डिनरी aspect is he switched from Hindi media to English media, and not only that, to one of the best houses, Kasturi and Sons, and he is associate editor in Hindu business line, stationed in Delhi. And not only that, very serious. So he had written a great article in this book also. And all well with all the different references. Very interesting. I have read, I have gone through it. And Shishida is actually utilizing AI in newsroom. He has gone through all the stages He was in television, CNBC, and once heading the entire newsroom in a very critical moment since 2009. And he is in daily newspaper also. But daily newspaper, today is not only a newspaper, it also has to feed to portals. And using of bots, etc., all these he has applied. And then he is bringing all these to IMC students also, regularly. He takes 2 courses there in journalism. So a very learned and experienced practical man. And on my other side, the right side, Devabrat is always right. Professor Devabrat Singh from Jharkhand Central University. We all are very close associates for at least some 15 years. Very close associates since the days of Asian Communication Congress. And Devabrat has emerged as a thinker, and he's thinking about how the practical application of AI in media room would begin from the classroom itself. So that is something very good. I had gone to his place, I have seen how he had done all those things. So instead of myself talking first, I will take notes. A chairperson's work is very easy. In this way, when he has able experts on both sides. So both of them will speak one after another. But as because I am for last so many years in faculty, so Shishidra, if I ask Devabrat to talk first, उसका एक PowerPoint presentation है, पहले presentation. अच्छा, अल्फाबेट में भी पहले आते हैं, और बी सबसे पहले आया तो मैं पहले बोल दिया थोड़ा सा. तो मैं प्रोफेसर देवव्रत सिंह को अभी उनका प्रेजेंटेशन देने के लिए रिक्वेस्ट कर रहा हूं. और हम थोड़ा इसमें क्या प्रेजेंटेशन देखा जाएगा? ओह फाइन. सो प्लीज, या
could you please? Yes, I'll use this microphone. Could you please start my PPT? Good morning to all of you. It's wonderful that I'm starting the session. It will give me more opportunity, and then some lapses in my presentation, my speech, that will be filled up by the practitioner. As Shishirji is a practitioner from industry, he is actually using, and we people, we media educators, we are trying to adapt to the new ecosystem and reading about AI, using about AI. I'll finish within 20 minutes, no issue. Across the globe, we are aware that AI is transforming the media and media education also, although we media teachers are yet to recognize this fact. And we are still thinking and talking about it, but it's high time to adapt to the ecosystem, and very soon we need to, very quickly we need to include the AI thing in our syllabus also, curriculum. I have divided my presentation into two parts. First is some basics about artificial intelligence, and after that I'll come to the key core subject, which is application of AI in journalism. Let us see how AI is actually intruding, or we can say slowly becoming part of the daily life. As we know that mobile phone is the revolutionary gadget we all are using. We are spending a lot of time on our mobile phone, and AI camera is part of the new smartphones, where we know that the moment we make a picture, we make a composition, automatically the camera sets itself according to the portrait mode or the landscape mode. This AI camera, many of us may be not aware about the facility in our mobile phone. And predictive text is also has become habit of the typing people. The moment we type, I had such a, it will automatically suggest that great and lovely or great thing. So that way, predictive text is part and parcel of the Gmail also, all other Gmail or we can say mailing facilities. Similarly, I'll give one example. Times of India every day publishes one photograph under the heading of History Meets AI. Every day they are publishing this photo, and this is AI generated photo. And this is very interesting. A lot of people like that. One more example I would give. Grammarly is also an example where we can understand AI, how AI is helping us in not only in Word. It's okay. Not only in Word, MS Word, but in all Gmail things or other facilities. Grammarly is helping us in correcting the spellings and improving the sentence structure. Hemingway is more advanced software. We can say all the writers, they use Hemingway, especially in Western countries. Hemingway is very popular software. Very interestingly, Aztak took a lead and launched its first AI anchor in April 23. Sana is the first AI anchor in India, and very soon, other channels also followed the path. In Odisha, Odia channel launched its AI anchor with the name of Lija, and very soon Kannada channel also launched Sondra. So that way AI is taking, we can say, inroads into the media, and our media is very open with open hands actually, very positively, it's adapting to the new environment. But the fundamental question is, what is artificial intelligence? How do we look at it? AI is not a device, it's not single technology, but it's an umbrella term. It's a collection of ideas, technologies, and techniques which is talking about the capacity of computer. Computer which requires lot of commands, lot of data, but now it's started thinking. It has started thinking and it's taking decisions, which is earlier a domain of human intelligence. AI is not a new thing in the field of IT sector, in the field of computer. We people are talking about AI in 2024 only because now AI is touching us. AI is touching media. But in computer world, AI has been there since 50s. This is the year, John McCarthy, if you can see. John McCarthy was the first person actually who used this term in 1956. There is one more term we must be aware about, this new term, machine learning. And some people, they club both the things, AI and ML together. Actually, the machine learning is when machine is, with the help of algorithms, machine is reading patterns in certain data. When we are giving some command to the machine, machine is actually able to take out certain patterns. And the wonderful, interesting thing, path-breaking thing is now machine is not only learning, because machine has been already just like fan and so many other machines are there. But this time, machines are not only learning, but machines are actually taking decisions. Machines are improvising themselves without explicit commands. This time, machines are improving their abilities. Machine learning is everywhere, actually. We are not aware about that. Yesterday also one speaker talked about how machine learning, algorithms, and AI is there everywhere. We use GPS. Once we use GPS, at the end of the journey, it takes some command. Netflix, Spotify, Facebook, everywhere, the kind of content we are using, content we are watching, next time the system automatically brief or suggest certain type of content. This is only because of algorithm and AI. Actually, ML is a smaller thing and AI is a bigger thing. ML, machine learning, is part of AI. So this is what we need to know. When we talk about AI in the context of journalism, we should know that this umbrella term of AI, this is all about using algorithm and automation kind of thing. When we automate the journalism, it becomes automated journalism. That's why a lot of people, they are using different kind of terminology. Some people call it automated journalism. Some say this is computational journalism, and more popular term is algorithm journalism, and some people use the robotic journalism also, because now robots are also being used for writing the news. BBC Corona bot was launched in 2020. We all are aware that during pandemic, there was a crisis of not only pandemic, but crisis of infodemic also, because a lot of misinformation and disinformation was also being supplied by a lot of people, and a lot of people died because of that. BBC launched its Corona bot in 2020 just to resolve the answer, and they call it explanatory journalism. Nowadays in YouTube also, a lot of YouTubers, they are uploading explainers, actually. This is new term. Explanatory journalism is very, very popular because people want to know what actually is their question. And this kind of bot where some possible questions are answered, so that way things are changing. And BBC did it long back, 4 years ago. In 22, when OpenAI launched ChatGPT, this was a huge success. Across the globe, millions people, within 24 hours, they adopted, they subscribed this facility, and it was a huge sensation. We all know. But very, very soon, suddenly, Elon Musk and a lot of other technocrats, scientists, and bureaucrats, they warned against AI. They signed a petition, and across the media, they said, just pause for 6 months. Elon Musk wrote an open letter along with the signs on 22nd March 23 that we request all the AI laboratories that at least for 6 months, till we understand what are the implications, what are the dangers. Otherwise, it might go out of hand. It might create a lot of disorder also. So that was the danger, that was the, we can say, apprehension behind using AI. We are aware that, we know that, broadly speaking, we divide the entire process of news into 3 segments: news gathering, news production, and news distribution. Now I come to the second part of my presentation, which is about application of AI in journalism. We all know that journalists need to collect information from the field. And one medium, one mode of collecting information is interview. And the moment we go for interview, we think about interview, AI comes into the scenario. We take help of AI. What is the background, what is the question, and what is the context of the subject. For example, if yesterday Hemant Soren again came to power in Jharkhand, and if any person who is out of Jharkhand, he doesn't know about the background of Jharkhand, what is the tribal situation, and what is the JMM, Jharkhand Mukti Morcha. So we can take help of AI, what is the background of entire thing. And not only that, AI would help us in framing 10 important questions to be asked to the Hemant Soren also. And we usually, most of the journalists, they use their mobile phone and recorder for taking interview. But we can now very easily transcribe the script, transcribe the interview audio files into the text. We can translate those. Because these all things, transcription and translation has been time-consuming process, but now AI would help us in doing that. Second step comes news gathering process, and we all know that nowadays Google Trends is very frequently used by the journalist. What is the trending thing? We can get story ideas, we can get data, a lot of web scraping or curation is also being used. And not only that, multiple story angles can also be found with the help of AI. And we all know that WikiLeaks and Panama papers, which were actually the outcome of data's humongous amount of data, which is not possible to be investigated by the human efforts. AI can help to handle and to get some story out of that. This is the part of that. I would like to give one more example in 2017 when a Chinese newspaper announced that this is the story written by robot. Long back, 7 years ago, Chinese newspaper, Southern Metropolis Delhi, this newspaper published a story about Spring Festival travel. And you all know that Spring Festival is very popular in China. A lot of people, millions of people, they come back to China to attend that festival. And this 300 characters story was written by the robot and it was published. But what robot cannot do? Robot cannot ask questions promptly. Of course, we can feed 10 important questions, but robot cannot ask follow-up questions. Robot cannot decide the angle of the story. He or she cannot frame the story, actually, frame the lead. That is the limitation of that is the advantage of being human being, and that is the limitation of the robot also. In fact, if we look at the entire scenario, what is the role of AI in journalism, and will this replace the human beings? The fundamental question is, fundamental statement I would say that we should focus more on creative aspect while taking help of human beings, and let the robot or let the AI take up the repetitive task of the journalist. And the third part is news production process. News production process is also taken up by the AI, and we all know that ChatGPT and Copilot or Gemini or so many other AI tools, they are wonderful in summarizing and rewriting the content. They are wonderful in proofreading. They can help you in do spell checking also. They can improve the language also. They can create headlines, wonderful headlines. So that way we can take help of all these things. And the journalist told me that the social media posts which are to be written in limited words, that work is also done by the AI wonderfully. And of course, the translation work, because now more and more digital platforms, they are multilingual. And simultaneously they are providing content in 10 languages. So this real-time translation can also be possible with the help of, and misinformation is another concern we journalists and media educators talk about. And a lot of AI-based softwares are there, applications are there, those in real-time environment actually they flag the news and information which is misinformation actually, and this helps a lot. This helps a lot. And another part is distribution thing. Distribution, while distributing the content, as we know that mobile phone is highly personalized medium, and now news is consumed. News is not consumed in mass communication, but now it is consumed in the personalized form, and every reader has its own choice. So that way, AI can help in better engagement with the audience. Personalization and customization of content can be done with the help of AI, and we all know that recommendation is one facility which is used by all the YouTubers, all the news portals also. And one more facility, if you see this voice bot, this is wonderful for the disabled people, and the text can be read by the voice bot. So that way, AI is being used by the companies or news portals, social media distributing companies, and this SEO and a lot of things is being used. So that way it poses a new kind of environment, new challenge before us, and of course new media students and journalists, they need to upgrade themselves, they need to learn new skills actually, new kind of media skills like content analytics, design thinking, and data verification. And of course some of the journalists are expected to learn about Python and some basic languages also. One important issue which is always discussed while discussing the AI about the ethical aspects of the AI, and there are reports across the globe that AI is highly biased, because now the content across the globe is uploaded by the Western countries, by the American people. They are more into the internet, and from Asian perspective, if you look at the news, if you command gives order to ChatGPT or anything about Gaza and Jerusalem, or this Russia and Ukraine debate, war, you would realize that the answers have certain political bias. They have, because that content is being generated by the Western world. So whatever AI is creating in terms of content, that has hidden bias of the Western world. So this is a challenge, and privacy is another concern. Actually, a lot of philosophers now, they are raising questions. Are machines becoming too much intelligent? Is this going to be a problem for the human beings? But at the moment, scientists say that no, this is not the case. Machine cannot overtake the human beings, because fundamentally it's very difficult, because machines are doing what we are feeding them. So that is the concern. And in case of journalism, I would say that if we want fairness, objectivity, balance, and transparency, which are the cornerstones of the journalism, we need not to be over-dependent upon the AI, upon the machines, because a human should always be in the loop. For example, whenever we take help of AI in translation, we know that a lot of things, they are mistranslated. If we are over-relying on the machine, it will create trouble for us. Machine is always a good, we can say, servant, but technology is always a bad master. Just one example, in the last, on 29th July 24, we all know when Microsoft was upgrading its cloud software, suddenly the entire globe started crying, and because the Microsoft systems, they were hanged for few hours. And you just imagine, many aircrafts, they were in the air. They were in the air using same software. They were unable to connect to the ground, and a lot of problem was created because of this. This is one example. If we depend highly upon the machines, upon AI. In the last but not least, technology is neutral, because sometimes while debating all these issues, we become anti-technologists. We become haters, technology haters. But I would say that technology is neutral. It is neither good nor bad. It depends upon who owns the technology, who is using the technology, and for what purpose the technology is being used. In fact, the new digital ecosystem requires a new human being, new version of human beings. That's all my side. Thank you.
It was an excellent start in today's session, and he covered both the sides, the industry development, research, taking its milestones one after another. So many of you have many questions, but we will take this, keep it in your notepad or mind pad, so that when the question answer session is there, you can bring it and ask him questions. Thank you. So now Shishir Sinha ji will be talking on his area.
Good morning. First of all, my voice is not so good today. Some throat problem because of smog in Delhi, and now I'm getting fresh air in Bhubaneswar. So that has affected my throat. So please excuse me for all my problem. And second thing, with the request of the chair, can I speak in Hindi, sir? क्योंकि क्या होता है सर कि अंग्रेजी से मेरे घर का चूल्हा चौका चलता है, हिंदी मेरी दिल की भाषा है, तो जब मैं बात करना चाहता हूं तो आपसे हिंदी में करना चाहता हूं। एक महत्वपूर्ण बात यह कि आज मेरे सामने मेरे गुरु बैठे हुए हैं, तो मुझे ज्यादा सतर्क रहना है। प्रोफेसर B.R. गुप्ता सर, जिन्होंने मुझे जर्नलिज्म का ABC सिखाया, और उनकी डांट क्लास में जो पड़ी मुझे, आज 28 साल हो गए, मैंने डांट नहीं भूली, क्योंकि वो डांट मेरे लिए एक लर्निंग थी जिसने मुझे आज इस मुकाम पे पहुंचाया है। सो थैंक यू सर फॉर टेकिंग मी हियर सर। तो देवव्रत सर ने बहुत बातें कर दी, और सबसे इंटरेस्टिंग चीज ये थी कि जो मैं सोच के आया था उसमें आधी चीजें आपने कह दी। तो जाहिर सी बात है कि मेरा काम आसान भी हो गया और मेरा काम मुश्किल भी हो गया। तो मैं क्या करूंगा, एक प्रैक्टिशनर के नाते मैं 6 क्वेश्चन का आंसर देने की कोशिश करूंगा। ये 6 क्वेश्चन क्या है? पहला क्वेश्चन है कि कैन एआई रिप्लेस ह्यूमन? ये पहला क्वेश्चन है, सबके मन में पहला सवाल यही है। दूसरा यह है कि इज एआई एन एग्रीगेटर और गिविंग सम न्यू थॉट, न्यू आइडियाज? थर्ड है, विल एआई मे लीड टू पिलफिलिज? फोर्थ है, कैन एआई डेवलप न्यूज, ऑब्जर्व द इवेंट्स एंड कम आउट विद हार्ड न्यूज? फिफ्थ क्वेश्चन है, कैन एआई बी मोर हेल्पफुल in presentation and distribution? And finally, can AI help to overcome news avoidance and news fatigue? तो मैं पहले क्वेश्चन से स्टार्ट करता हूं। देखिए, एक बात तो साफ है, हम लोग 91 में जब हम पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन कर रहे थे, कंप्यूटर की शुरुआत हुई थी, और हर कोई ये कहता था कि कंप्यूटर आएगा और हमारी नौकरियां खत्म हो जाएगी। आज देखिए, कंप्यूटर भी है, हम भी है, नौकरियां भी है। फर्क क्या हुआ कि जिन्होंने कंप्यूटर सीखा उनके लिए नौकरी पाना आसान हो गया, और जिन्होंने सोचा कि हमको कंप्यूटर करना ही नहीं है, तब उनके बारे में कुछ नहीं कहा जा सकता। मुझे याद है कि जब मेरा पहला न्यूज रूम था, उस न्यूज रूम में कई लोग ऐसे थे जो कहते थे यार कंप्यूटर, अरे यार बड़ा मुश्किल है, हाथ से लिख करके हम खबर दे देंगे, डीटीपी वाले का काम है वो टाइप कर देगा। हम टाइपिस्ट थोड़े हैं। आज के दिन में क्या आप बगैर कंप्यूटर के आप नौकरी के बारे में सोच सकते हैं? कहीं भी काम कर रहे हैं तो आपके लिए चाहिए। सेम चीज एआई के बारे में है। अब एआई जो है, जैसा कि देवव्रत भाई ने कहा कि काफी समय से एआई है, 1956 अब 56, आज हम लोग 2024 में हैं। और जब जो शब्द 1956 में बना उसको लेकर के 2024 में कंसर्न हो गया, 2023-24 में, कि विल एआई रिप्लेस द ह्यूमन। सर मेरा मानना यह है, मैम मेरा ये मानना है कि एनीवन हु इज विदाउट एआई विल बी रिप्लेस्ड बाय समवन हु इज विद एआई। ये रियलिटी है। हमको इसको अडॉप्ट करना है, आप मानो चाहे ना मानो, हमको इसमें जाना है। तो पहले वाले क्वेश्चन का आंसर मेरा बहुत क्लियर है, एआई कैन नॉट रिप्लेस ह्यूमन, दैट्स द रियलिटी, बट एआई विल रिप्लेस द ह्यूमन हु आर विदाउट एआई। सो हमको एआई के साथ चलना होगा। नाउ कमिंग टू द सेकंड क्वेश्चन, इज एआई एन एग्रीगेटर? देखिए मुझे याद है कि जब हम लोग जर्नलिज्म में, ये 2004 की बात है, गूगल नया चर्चा में आया था। उस समय गूगल यूज भी नहीं होता था इंडिया में, उस समय एमएसएन का यूज था, रेडिफ का यूज था, गूगल का यूज नहीं था। तो गूगल के बारे में जब चर्चा शुरू हुई तो पीपल सेड, अरे गूगल क्या है? गूगल इज व्हाट वी कॉल इन बनारस में, हम लोग, चूंकि मेरी पढ़ाई बनारस से हुई है, तो बनारस में हर कोई गुरु होता है, तो हमने गूगल को भी अपना गुरु मान लिया। कोई चीज समस्या का समाधान नहीं हो रहा है, किसी प्रश्न का जवाब नहीं हो रहा है, गूगल गुरु के पास जाएंगे, सवाल का हमें जवाब मिल जाएगा। सो गूगल वॉज बेसिकली अ सर्च इंजन, गूगल वॉज बेसिकली एन एग्रीगेटर। सो सिमिलरली व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट एआई, प्लीज करेक्ट मी देवव्रत भाई इफ आई एम रॉन्ग, एआई इज मोर अबाउट मच एडवांस फॉर्म ऑफ एग्रीगेशन। आपके पास जो आइडियाज हैं, जो थॉट्स हैं, उनका एग्रीगेशन और बेटर वे में आपके पास आ पाता है। एंड द सेकंड थिंग व्हिच इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इज द टाइम टेकन। गूगल में जब आप जैसे ही सर्च करते हो, व्हाट यू सी, विद इन 0.2 सेकेंड यू आर गेटिंग सो मेनी आंसर्स। इन एआई यू आर गेटिंग सो मेनी आंसर्स बट यू आर नॉट गेटिंग द टाइम लाइन। हैव यू नोटिस वन थिंग, आपने अपने लैपटॉप का या डेस्कटॉप का जब आप होम पेज खोलते हो गूगल का, एंड विद यू पुट अ क्वेरी, first you get the meta, which is the AI one, and AI is summarizing various information from various sources. So AI, in my view, as a journalist, I'm telling you, is more like an advanced aggregator. हम लोगों ने बजट के समय में AI यूज करने की सोची, but that was not for writing the news, but just to get the headline. Like क्या होता है कि आपके पास स्पेस लिमिटेड है हेडलाइन का, so you have to think about what best can be combination and permutation of the words. So there the AI was helpful. So AI was not helping me to write the news, but AI was helping me to present the news. So that is the second question, that it is more like an advanced aggregator. It cannot be anything else. Coming to the third question, जो कि बहुत important है. I believe many of you are research scholar, many of you are in academic field, and there when you are writing your dissertation or when you are writing your research report, एक प्रॉब्लम जो हमेशा आती है कि आपने कॉपी कहां से करी है। आजकल कई सॉफ्टवेयर है जो तुरंत बता देते हैं कि हमने कहां से कितना उठाया है। एंड बीइंग अ पार्ट टाइम एकेडमिशियन, मुझे जब कभी कॉपी जांचने का मौका मिलता है तो आई ऑलवेज लुक फॉर कि वो इंफॉर्मेशन कहां से उठाई गई है, और जहां कहीं भी मैं देखता हूं कि इंफॉर्मेशन बहुत ज्यादा कहीं से उठाई गई है तो उसके नंबर मैं काट देता हूं मैं। तो हमारे लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है कि एआई बहुत सारे इंफॉर्मेशन दे देता है। जैसे मैं आपको एग्जांपल दे सकता हूं कि कई न्यूज़पेपर ने एआई की स्टोरी ले ली, एआई पे जो आया स्टोरी अपने यहां छाप दी। समडे दे गॉट अ काइंड ऑफ लीगल नोटिस फ्रॉम अदर पब्लिकेशन कि आपने मेरी स्टोरी कैसे छाप दी। एंड कैन आई टेल यू वन मोर थिंग, मेरी अपनी स्टोरी एआई पे आ गई थी। मैं ढूंढ रहा था जीएसटी को लेकर के एक स्टोरी, एंड ट्रस्ट मी, सिंस जीएसटी इज वेरी क्लोज टू माई हार्ट, तो मैंने देखा द फर्स्ट स्टोरी विच पॉप्ड अप वाज माई ओन स्टोरी। तो दैट इज वाई वन ऑफ द बिग प्रॉब्लम इन एआई इज द पिलफेलिज इशू और अ कॉपीराइट इशू। नाउ कमिंग टू द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन, Can AI develop or observe the event and come out with hard news? ये बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग चीज है. आप देखो ना, आप में से कई लोग हो सकता है जर्नलिस्ट होंगे. चूंकि मुझे इस प्रोफेशन में 28 साल हो गए हैं और इस प्रोफेशन में मैंने एक चीज सीखी है कि जब आप ग्राउंड पे जाकर के रिपोर्टिंग करते हो, वहां पे कोई मशीन काम नहीं करता है. वहां पे एक ही मशीन काम करता है, विच इज योर ब्रेन, जो ओवर टाइम काम करता है. क्योंकि यू ऑब्जर्व सो मेनी थिंग्स, बट यू हैव टू कम आउट विथ 300 वर्ड 400 वर्ड स्टोरी, दैट्स इट. और वो 400 वर्ड स्टोरी के लिए
We have with us Mr. Sheba Broto Banerjee. Welcome, sir. Welcome to the 8th National Media Conclave. And he was felicitated by Professor Upendra Pandey. Thank you so much. Sir, please continue. Sorry.
So what I was saying, that you have the brain which is overworking and churning out the story. Can you think of कि मशीन कहीं पे जाकर के एक इवेंट ऑब्जर्व करे और एक हार्ड न्यूज लिख दे? इम्पॉसिबल है. एक न्यूज जो है ना, इट्स नॉट जस्ट अ न्यूज, इट्स एन इमोशन. व्हेन वी राइट अ स्टोरी, व्हेन वी राइट अ न्यूज स्टोरी, इट्स एन इमोशन. इट इज नॉट जस्ट फ्यू वर्ड्स टेकन फ्रॉम हियर और टेकन फ्रॉम देयर. तो जब हम लोग इमोशन की बात करते हैं, सो प्लीज रिमेंबर, मशीन कैन नॉट बी इमोशनल. इट इज अ ह्यूमन विच आर मोर इमोशनल. Machine cannot be emotional. So writing a hard news will not be possible, but presenting the hard news will be possible with the AI thing. Now coming to the next question, can AI be more helpful in presentation and distribution? That is the most important part. मेरी अपनी राय ये रही है कि आप आज के दिन में कहते हैं ना, जो अच्छा दिखता है वही बिकता है. That's the reality. मार्केटिंग का एक सबसे बड़ा फंडा यही है कि आप उसकी पैकेजिंग कैसे करते हैं. आपने चीज नोटिस किया, पिछले कुछ दिनों के दौरान तमाम अखबारों ने अपने कलर को चेंज कर लिया. लाइक वन थिंग यू मेंशन अबाउट द एआई, जनरेटिव एआई एंड द हिस्ट्री, टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया ने जो किया है, व्हाट इज दिस? दिस इज प्योरली अ मार्केटिंग टूल. आपने, अगर आप सोचो कि महात्मा गांधी या अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी, व्हेन ही बिकेम द प्राइम मिनिस्टर फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम इन 1999, व्हाट वाज द सिचुएशन देयर इन द पार्लियामेंट? So if that imagination is captured by the machine and presented before you, isn't something which is going to interest you? तो आज आपके पास न्यूज़पेपर्स की बात अगर मैं करूं, RNI का लेटेस्ट डेटा बताता है कि we have almost 10,000 daily newspaper, which is having a circulation of 22 crore. And when we talk about news channel, we have almost 403 news channels, where the 99% viewers are in Hindi and vernacular. Just 1% viewer is in English. अब ये जो 99% है, you talked about Sana, Lisa, Saundarya. In fact, when Sana was launched, there was a India Today conclave जहां पर Sana को launch किया गया था. So everybody said कि now we are not going to see Sudhir Chaudhary, we are going to see more of Sana. अब आज के दिन में देखिए, Sana का काम बस इतना है कि वो हेडलाइन पढ़ती है, बाकी काम सुधीर चौधरी करते हैं. लीजा का काम क्या है? हेडलाइन पढ़ना. ओडिया टीवी में, आई बिलीव सर, यू आर फ्रॉम ओडिया टीवी ना सर? सो लीजा इज विथ यू सर? या. सो लीजा का आपके यहां जो यूज है, इट इज मोर लाइक कैप्चरिंग द ऑडियंस. इट इज नॉट समथिंग गिविंग द हार्ड न्यूज, बिकॉज फॉर द हार्ड न्यूज यू हैव द ह्यूमन एंकर्स, जो कि न्यूज एंकर्स हैं, जो न्यूज रीडर्स हैं, वो काम कर रहे हैं. सो दिस मशीन कैन बी गुड इन प्रेजेंटेशन, capturing the audience, marketing tool, but it cannot be something which is what we call as the creator. And that is very important point. आज आप देखो ना, आप सभी लोग न्यूज चैनल्स कम देखते हो, am I right? आप में से बहुत सारे लोगों ने न्यूज चैनल देखना बंद कर दिया होगा, और यह भी है कि आपने अखबार पढ़ना भी बंद कर दिया होगा. बहुत कम लोग हैं जो डेली अखबार पढ़ते हैं. दैट्स अ रियलिटी. हाँ, आप पढ़ती हैं मैम, थैंक यू वेरी मच. आप पढ़ोगे तभी तो हमारी सैलरी आएगी. तो मैं तो यही कहता हूं कि हमारे रीडर्स जितने होंगे, हमारे लिए सर्कुलेशन, हमारे लिए सैलरी का इंतजाम होगा. बट द रियलिटी इज कि पीपल आर रीडिंग लेस नंबर ऑफ न्यूज़पेपर. एंड अनदर इंपॉर्टेंट ट्रेंड विच वी हैव ऑब्जर्व्ड कि इन कॉस्मोस लाइक दिल्ली, मुंबई, कोलकाता, चेन्नई, हैदराबाद एंड बेंगलुरु, where we are finding that there are less number of people buying newspaper. But if you are going to tier 2 city like Bhubaneswar, Bhopal, Lucknow, Patna, where we are finding that newspaper readers are increasing. ये हमारे लिए बहुत एक पॉजिटिव चेंज है. सेकेंड थिंग व्हाट वी हैव ऑब्जर्व्ड सिंस फ्रॉम ओडिया टीवी इज देयर, सो टेलीविजन चैनल्स के साथ एक प्रॉब्लम क्या हो गई है कि ऑल द मेन स्ट्रीम चैनल्स दे आर लूजिंग ऑडियंस, दे आर लूजिंग व्यूअर्स. आप देखो किसी भी मेन स्ट्रीम चैनल पे वी कॉल इट 3 प्राइम टाइम. One prime time is 6 to 12, the second prime time is 12 to 6 and the third prime time is 6 to 12. मतलब सुबह, दोपहर, शाम. अब can you imagine the maximum viewership we are getting in the afternoon prime time, that is between 2:30 and 4. क्या प्रोग्राम आता है, याद है आपको? सास बहू साजिश. Imagine that is getting maximum viewership as compared to Anjana show, as compared to Chitra show, as compared to Shweta show, as compared to Sunil Chaudhary show. That's something very challenging for us as a TV news channel. Then the second viewership, second time band which is giving maximum viewership is the crime show. Sansani, Vardat, Crime Patrol. Of course, Crime Patrol is on GEC. I'm talking about the news channel. अब आप सोचो कि श्रीवर्धन त्रिवेदी आपके पास आकर के कहते हैं चैन से सोना है तो जागते रहो. आई हैव टू आस्क कि मुझे सोना है या जागना है, प्लीज टेल मी. सो वेयर वी आर लूजिंग द व्यूअर्स, दैट्स द रियलिटी. वेयर वी आर गेटिंग द व्यूअर्स, दीज शोज लाइक सास बहू साजिश, क्राइम शोज. हार्ड न्यूज में व्यूअर्स नहीं आ रहे हैं. सो वी हैव टू थिंक अबाउट समथिंग विच इज वेरी इनोवेटिव. अदरवाइज देयर विल बी नीदर रीडर नॉर द व्यूअर्स. And if readers and viewers are not there, then what will happen to the news industry? People like me, who have spent almost a quarter of the century in this profession, और अगर मुझे पता चला कि मेरे रीडर ही नहीं है, मेरा अखबार बिक ही नहीं रहा है, तो क्या होगा? So now we have moved into what we call as the digital or the multimedia thing. And in the digital and multimedia thing, we are using AI in a bigger way. But that AI is more for the algorithms, more for the presentation, more for the distribution, not for the creation of hard news. Hard news, as I'm just repeating that, is an emotion which can be expressed only by human, not by the machine. Now coming to the next question, can AI helpful in overcome news avoidance and news fatigue? This is one trend which we are observing in a bigger way. People are not reading the newspaper, people are not watching the news channel. और उसका एक रीजन ये भी कहा जाता है कि पीपुल आर फीलिंग वेरी डिप्रेस्ड. आप ऐसी खबर देखते हो, अब जब कोई अखबार उठाते हो पता चला कि पेज 1 पे 20 खबरें हैं, उसमें से 10 खबरें क्राइम की हैं, रेप की हैं, मर्डर की हैं. सो योर मॉर्निंग स्टार्ट विद डिप्रेशन. आप कहते हो यार ये क्या है? यू आर वॉचिंग द न्यूज चैनल. कहते हैं ना कि न्यूज आज के दिन में 3C पे ज्यादा चलता है, 3C. कैन एनी वन ऑफ यू टेल मी व्हाट आर द 3Cs? Anyone has idea? 3C. सर आप बता दोगे सर, आप प्रोफेसर हो सर. सर मैं प्रोफेसर सर से नहीं पूछा था, मुझे मालूम है कि प्रोफेसर सर जो है उनके मन में था अरे ये क्वेश्चन किससे लिए है. सो ही इज वेरी राइट. वी आर मोर टॉकिंग अबाउट क्राइम, क्रिकेट एंड सिनेमा. एंड एवरीबडी इज एन एक्सपर्ट इन क्रिकेट. एवरीबडी थिंक दैट ही इज हैविंग मैक्सिमम फ्रॉम द क्राइम शोज. एंड यू नो, हम लोगों ने एक सर्वे कंडक्ट किया था व्हेन आई वाज वर्किंग विद टेलीविजन चैनल कि क्राइम शोज लोग देखते क्यों हैं. कैन यू इमेजिन व्हाट वाज द मैक्सिमम आंसर? मजा आता है. इमेजिन क्राइम शो देख करके क्या मजा आता है भाई. आई मीन आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड द अवेयरनेस एस्पेक्ट. आई कैन अवेयर द क्वेश्चन ऑफ सेंसिटिविटी. आई कैन थिंक अबाउट द क्वेश्चन ऑफ सिक्योरिटी. बट मजा आना, किसी की हत्या हुई, किसी का बलात्कार हुआ और हमें मजा आ रहा है. सो वी आर मोर लाइक अ सैडिस्टिक पर्सन. वी कैन नॉट बी अ नॉर्मल ह्यूमन बीइंग. And there we have to think about, because the people are avoiding news because of these reasons, because of the depression, anger. Let me go back to COVID. COVID के पीरियड में जब कभी भी टीवी चैनल खोलते थे तो क्या आता था? 20 मर गए, 50 मर गए. कई चैनल वालों ने तो एक ट्रैकर लगा रखा था कि आज के डेथ का नंबर क्या है. और रिजल्ट क्या हुआ कि हम जब कभी भी टीवी चैनल खोलते थे तो दुख होता था. हम किसी चीज को एंजॉय नहीं कर पा रहे थे, हम किसी चीज से इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं ले पा रहे थे. आई स्टिल रिमेंबर When my wife got admitted in hospital during COVID period, and after watching, since I am a journalist, I am a news person, तो मेरी एक आदत में शुमार है थोड़ा बहुत टीवी चैनल देख लेते हैं. अब वो देखते थे तो मेरा एक डर हो गया, my wife is going to hospital. What will happen? That anger, that depression, that helplessness take me out from the TV channels. I have to think how to bring back those people. So whether we talk about Lisa, whether we talk about Sana, whether we talk about Aishwarya, whether we talk about Saundarya, these are some of the innovation in the television channels. And if you talk about the newspapers, we are presenting the first page with the help of AI. That is presentation part, not the creation of what we call as the hard news. So AI can be helpful in the presentation. Coming to the what we call as the distribution. You know, I belong to a generation where the news was appointed reading, appointed viewing. What is appointed reading, appointed viewing? Like, ma'am, you said that you read newspaper. Normally, the habit of reading newspaper starts with the day. आप सुबह जब उठते हो तो आपके हाथ में एक प्याली चाय और एक अखबार. ये बहुत हमारी जिंदगी का हिस्सा है. In our time, my father used to tell me कि आज तुम्हें अखबार पढ़ना and give me the 10 words. Vocabulary बनेगा. गुस्सा भी आता था. आज मुझे खुशी होती है कि मेरे फादर ने वो अपॉइंटेड रीडिंग ना कराई होती तो शायद मेरी वोकेबुलरी कभी नहीं बनती, क्योंकि मैं रोज 10 शब्द करता था एंड एट द एंड ऑफ मंथ आई हैड 300 वर्ड्स. सो इमेजिन इफ आई हैव स्पेंट ऑलमोस्ट 300 days in a year on reading the newspaper every day 1 hour, so I'm creating a vocabulary of say some thousands. So that was part of what we call as the appointed reading. So you had the fixed time, start your day with reading the newspaper. Then we had the appointed viewing. What is appointed viewing? 8:30 p.m. when the Doordarshan was broadcasting Hindi news, and at 9 p.m. broadcasting English news. So the sting was a kind of alarm for us to go and watch the news, to connect with the world, to connect with the humans. So this is what we call as the appointed viewing. So earlier we used to have the appointed reading and appointed viewing. Now, one of the big problem we are facing is with the help of our mobile phone. आप देखिए, आप में अगर दिल्ली में से जो भी लोग दिल्ली आए होंगे, even in Bhubaneswar also, what I found that when I landed at Bhubaneswar airport, there were almost 40 people sitting and almost 35 were on the mobile phone. I just counted, I mean, क्या कहते हैं, ये आप कह सकते हो मेरी एक अलग फितरत है कि कहीं भी मैं जाता हूं तो ये सब गिनता रहता हूं मैं. अब आप सोचोगे क्या ये आदमी है, but why I am doing this? I just try to find out how many people are on the mobile phone. And I also try to find out what they are watching. Of course, most of them were watching some reel. और आज के दिन में सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम वॉल्यूम, ये जो ऑडियो पॉल्यूशन का है, लोग हैंड्स फ्री यूज नहीं करते हैं. जो मैकेनिकल हंसी आती है वो सबसे ज्यादा आपको इरिटेट करती है. But now one thing which OTT has captured, you know what OTT has done? You all have OTT at your home. Have you noticed that when you are subscribing Z5 or when you are subscribing say DD, that they have created a new OTT platform, it is called Web. They are giving you news in the clip form. That means if you are not watching the news at 9 p.m., you can watch that news according to your convenience. That means you don't have to think about appointed viewing. You have to think about anytime viewing. So our pattern has changed from appointed reading to appointed viewing, and now we are going from anytime reading, anytime viewing. The second trend is a buffet to a la carte. आप में से कई लोग शादी में जाते होंगे, एक बड़ी अजब सी टेंडेंसी हमें शादी में देखने को मिलती है कि प्लेट में सब भर दो, है ना. बाद में पता चलता है उसका टेस्ट ही नहीं पता चला कि पुलाव का क्या स्वाद है, पूरी का स्वाद क्या है, पनीर पता चलता है गुलाब जामुन में मिल जाता है, और दाल जो है वो कब रायता के साथ जुगलबंदी करने लगता हमें पता ही नहीं चलता. सो वी व्हाट वी डू, आप देखोगे कि बुफे में वेस्टेज बहुत होता है. लोग सिंपली टेक द प्लेट, आधा भरते छोड़ देते हैं. In newspaper, if you have 16-page newspaper, if you have interest in say sports, if you have interest in say business, if you have interest in politics, you would love to read the news first about the politics, sports or business according to your choice. This is what we call as the customization, and this is what in hotel language what we call as the a la carte. So we are moving from buffet to a la carte. So when we talk about anytime reading, anytime viewing, a la carte, AI can be helpful. Because AI will tell me what is your interest, what is your preferred time of watching the clip, what is your preferred time of reading the newspaper. So that analog is helping us to identify our reader. Another tool which we are using, we have put a software on our news, on our portal. और हम उससे ट्रैक क्या करते हैं कि हमारा जो यूनिक विजिटर है वो कहां पे छोड़ रहा है. We are finding that maximum of the visitors are leaving the portal after first paragraph. That means they don't have the patience to read 300 words or 400 words. So we have to think about brief, smaller news persons. So this customization is possible with the help of AI. But again, I will repeat that AI cannot create the hard news. It can help in presentation. So basically, I wanted to tell you that we are using AI. And as Debrat Bhai said, that technology is a bad master. So we need to think about, can AI be good servant? Please think about that. Thank you very much.
Now, Sri Shivabrata Banerjee, who is business head of Odisha Television, he will be giving us the experience from media industry insiders point.
Thank you. Good morning to all of you, and hello everyone. So, you know, AI in media newsrooms is a very complicated and complex subject, and I would like to build a quick context to this before I even get into the subject of AI. So, for the last 20 years, close to 20 years, Google has been playing around with the consumption pattern of news, how people consume news on the internet, what people consume, and how they consume. So in the early days of internet, if you can think about some 10-15 years ago, the developers of Google, see, Google never came from journalists. Google came from a bunch of developers. To them, the news was, the best news was something that carried certain keywords in the headline, carried certain specific keywords in the first paragraph, and in all the meta information, meta data that you create while you publish an article on the internet. And that thing, very unfortunately, shaped the contour of the digital media industry in the next 15 or 20 years to come. And after these 20 years, so what do we see on Google? Whenever you search on Google something, what do you see? You see 10 results, out of which 8 may not be of any specific value to you. Suppose you are trying to search for something deep on Google, and the first 7 to 8 results that you get on Google is of no use to you. They are just surfacing because they are properly keyword optimized, and all these media houses have all these SEO people who do that. And this is how, in the last 10-15 years, the whole of Google, the whole of internet has slowly become a garbage bin. And then came 2022 or 2021, when the AI race has seriously started, GPT-1 came in, GPT-2 came in. I'm talking about an era where, ChatGPT-3 still didn't exist. So during GPT-1 and GPT-2, when, these models, which were actually borrowed from the concept was borrowed from a research paper which was actually done by Google. Companies like OpenAI, they went a leap ahead of everyone else. And they showed people how really, content generation in some form, it may not be accurate, it may not be, highly useful, but some form of spontaneous organic content generation is possible. And that is also the time when Google took note of this. And Google realized that they are miles behind of these new age companies who with just 450, 500 employees can make a global impact. And Google has become a behemoth by them. They take years to move, to make certain changes in their operations and all that. But they were very confident because the whole publication ecosystem has been under the confines, within the bubble of Google. Publishers use Google Analytics. Publishers measures their search performances. I'm talking about the digital publications especially. I'm not talking about newspapers. So digital publishers measure their performance using Google Analytics. They measure their content performance using a tool called Search Console. They used to earn a lot of their ad revenues from a Google ecosystem. There is a base level Google ad management system. There is this programmatic ecosystem from where a lot of media buys happen. All these media agencies that we see these days, that the big six, like Group M, Dentsu and all that, they buy huge monies from Google platform and they are routed through the Google platform to the publication ecosystems. So publishers, in essence, they live within the Google bubble, and that's why Google was very confident. But when the responses of ChatGPT-3 or maybe ChatGPT 3.5 or 4 were being increasingly compared with Bard and Gemini that came up from Google, people understood that the qualities, the responses just don't compare. I mean, these new companies like Anthropic, OpenAI are way ahead of Google. And that is the time they understood that something wrong has happened, and they understood that they have to clean up the internet. They understood the training data that they created out of their internet search results or the indexes of the content that they have created for over 10, 15 years. That has to be cleaned. And they immediately changed the head of Google search, and they got somebody who's from entirely AI background. And that lady who came in to head the operations, she said that it's full garbage now and we have to change it. So after 20 years, creating such a mayhem in the publication industry and, decreasing the quality, reducing the quality of internet content. I mean, what happened, newspapers still retain a certain amount of content quality, but if you go to online publications, you will see there are many actors, many players in the market who don't have any publication background, who should not be in the media industry. But they are doing it because they understood that there are certain ways, if they follow certain techniques, it's easy to earn some money. But Google shifted its gear 2 years ago, and all these new core updates came up, and they started saying, thankfully, after 20 years, they understood what is good content. They understood a good content is something with context, something that answers people's queries properly, and something that people find useful, not like the 10 blue links that appear on your search engines whenever you try to search something. And that is the reason why a lot of serious searchers, people who are in the research business, they have shifted from Google. They use something else. They use perplexity.ai, or they might be using something else, or they have on their own custom research engines. So that thing happened. Now what happened? Just as Google shifted gears, a lot of media companies are finding it very difficult to adapt to the new order of the day. What is the new order of the day? Till date, 80%, 85% of the media companies, what they have been doing, any media company who could optimize their content to certain extent, they could game the Google algorithm to some extent, where, ranking higher on search engines, and they were earning a lot of revenues. That thing has changed, suddenly changed, and over the last 2-3 years, a lot of non-serious players who have been doing good business have totally gone out of business. So this is a very complex, situation in the digital media industry, where people were trained over 2 decades to do things in a certain way, and suddenly they have been told to think in the other way. So what is the impact? The impact is that the traditional keyword optimization has no value. Second impact, you have to write good content, which was always true, but Google made us forget that. Third, you have to build enough context in your story. And that enough context doesn't just mean that you just write paragraphs after paragraphs. It's not like that. You have to create enough content topic association on the pages. You have to create enough link association on the pages. And all these things, I think big publishers have enough resources to do that. But I have been working with, before joining Odisha TV as the business head, I was working with some of the reputed national level media companies as their AI consultants and supplying them AI tools. And they were at a loss. Most of the people, people who came from traditional technical background were finding it very, very difficult to adapt to the new system. For example, for a reputed media organization, one of my, the editor was my friend, the digital editor, and he was telling, over the last 2 years, we have done 250 POCs, and only 2 has been deployed in the actual production. So this is the state. So now let me tell you, so this is a very complex scenario. So you can do a lot of things using AI, and you should not do a lot of things using AI as well. Typically in the Hindi industry, the kind of requirements I have been getting is that, can we create a synthetic video? I said, no, sorry, the technology is not stable and reliable enough to create a synthetic video using a real person. Can we dynamically create photographs of celebrities? I said, no, that is ethically not correct. You cannot do that. So all such strange requests were coming up. But the areas where actually you can do value addition using AI, I'm not talking about content creation, that is still a very controversial subject, though serious advancements have been made in the last couple of months, and using fine-tuning, in-context learning, and situational learning, you can create very meaningful qualities in some of the non-analytical contents. But where AI can seriously help media organization is research. Research is one of those things which have kind of vanished from Indian media landscape. Journalists were told you have to publish 20 stories a day, isn't it, sir? Digital media journalists were told, nobody spoke to them about quality. They were told, no, you have to publish 25 stories a day. So if a human being is asked to write 25 stories a day, and if he's judged according to that, now when will he get the time to do research? He will get a PTI copy, he will get an NI or Reuters copy and just change the headline and publish it verbatim. That's what he will do. So that ability has gone. So some of the serious news organizations, they are now trying to use AI to create custom research. Now let me very quickly tell you where it adds the value. AI can be used to automate the research, and AI can be used to train a research tool to do it in your way. AI can be trained to look for certain topics on the internet unless you find reliable and useful information from it. So in our organization, we are trying to do that. we are not trying to write using AI. Of course not. There is Lisa. Of course, and as you said, Lisa seriously helps us, reach out to the audiences. There is this novelty value, and a lot of people, even in the tier 2, tier 3 cities, people are discovering this, and there is this novelty value. This is AI and all that, which is not so much in the urban, okay? But I believe where the real value will be coming in is the research. Let me tell you what, the kind of stuff that we are trying. All this while, our publications have been publishing loads of news items. The television team has been creating a lot of scripts for videos. They were creating videos. The digital teams have been creating news items in the scripts in both Odia and English languages, and they were going into our archives, our databases. Now these databases, the traditional databases in all these website companies are basically dump databases. You cannot query them. The moment you tell your tech guy, okay, I have to query this over there, they will say, no, no, sir, the system will become very slow, the website speed will go down. So AI has made it possible to do a real-time search into your entire database and find only the useful information that you require. Previously, what used to happen? Suppose you create a Google on your database, on all the millions of stories that you have written. So you search Google, do a custom search, Google brings you all the blue links, custom search links of those stories. What AI can do? AI will not stop not stop there. A proper RAG-based vector search engine will actually understand and contextualize your query and look into the database and only find the information which is relevant to your stuff. Okay? So that saves huge amount of time. You don't have to sift through thousands of links, out of which 800 is not useful. You are only getting probably 5 to 6 nuggets, which the engine understood is very important for your article. And most of the time it's very accurate. For a human being to do this kind of search, to do information retrieval at such a, at a blazing speed is practically impossible. It's not possible. None of you can do it. Second thing, suppose you are writing an article and you need to do a quick internet search. Where will you go? You will go to Google. But now there are better ways. So you build a custom AI-driven search engine, and it will do exactly the way our archival search occurs. It will go through all the possible links related to your topic on the internet, find out what is most important, and will give you the only important topics. Will give you, if you tell it, give me the top 5 internet results, which is closest matching to my requirement, it will give you that. And the AI systems can be trained on that. Of course, it's much more complex than, than what, the way I am saying, but it's possible, and we had the prototypes and we are already using it. Okay? So basically we are, we know that we can do a lot of things. We can create a lot of content using AI, but we are not walking that path at this moment. I don't believe that the technology is at that level of intelligence. We are waiting for January release of OpenAI, when they are coming up with the GPT agent, which they are saying is probably one baby step towards the AGI. But we are trying to help our journalists write better content, write content much faster. And at the same time, we are also trying to resolve some of the workflow situations. There are many workflow nodes in our digital publication system where you don't really need a human being. These are mundane works like meta information writing in an article, which AI does very well, better than a human being does. Okay, quick stuff like you have an article and you have to quickly convert it into a VO script for a television story. You can do that using AI. So, of course, and there is, for these AIs, there is no end of learning. They keep learning forever. You can keep training them. One major challenges that we have in the industry is the data preparation, because our, the traditional people that we have in the system are not equipped enough to create data. So we are having to look into the automatic, ways of data preparations. So we will be there. So basically, helping journalists write better, helping journalists cope with the new shift of gear that Google has taken, and making their content much more meaningful, add much more context, depth in both text articles and videos that we are creating. I believe this is where the real use cases for the next 2-3 years are going to be. But changes are happening at a breakneck speed. Every 6 months, the scenario is changing, new models are coming up. And probably, if we talk after 6 months, the scenario would have completely changed, and we would discuss something on a very different perspective. So there is no finite statement on anything. But yes, we can salvage and we can regain a lot of lost qualities that we had from our newsrooms using AI and using less resources. So I believe I would always try to take it on a positive note. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I had to stop you. No problem. Sorry. Till now I have been into unpleasant duty. Okay. Now I am in a challenging duty. So, 3 of them in this session were exceptional speakers with great understanding. What actually we have to take to our classrooms. See, we have to make our communication classes and journalism classes into newsroom practices. So, on the basis of what they have discussed, I could gather 5 points, specifically the same 5 points which I also wrote in the conclusion in my article. So it had actually helped me that I am on the right track. It's very important for an academic and a researcher to be on the right track. What I found from all of them, see, we teachers and we students must be able to ask questions. I remember Prashnopanishad, where Sage Pippalad is telling his 6 disciples that I will give you answer. There were 6 questions. I will give you answers. But you have to stay with me for a year. So, AI, as because it is like our Sage Pippalad, having the same neural networking, accentuated, but not yet been able to too much accentuate the effect of the neural network when it is mimicking our neural network, whether it is deep mind or whatever it may be. The code to all the AI, say, machine learning process, they are not able. So what is this? See, we have always looked to West for terminologies. You just think from here, can you give them a terminology called questology? The challenge of media and communication education in this age is to change our training of students and also the faculty, we are students always, to questology. The expertise on asking questions. And how that is to be ingrained in our syllabus, not only in one paper, like not only in reporting paper, not only in editing paper, not only in the technology paper, but from the fundamentals of communication. That is, fundamental to communication is questioning. right question brings right answer. I have seen in answer to a question on how I can understand Bengal's very serious situation between the warring parties, I had been given answers. And then on answers I asked, but that does not reflect everything. So please tell, is there anything else? Then it started to give me anything else. Then I asked, but I am not satisfied. Because what you are telling is still very superficial. There are specific questions. So ultimately it came to the point, that's why it's very important to understand why our media schools are decreasing in number of enrollments. It's very important. All over India it's happening. And we are taking those students. See, no student is bad actually. But it is due to the schooling from the very beginning till today, they are seen as bad. So with no aspersion. But to make people prepared to become communication professionals, we need to take students, select students who are at some level of language proficiency, understanding, creativity, etc. But then we have to hone their skill of questological skills. It's very important. Otherwise, we cannot make use of AI. What we are doing, I am telling my experience as a teacher. We say students are plagiarizing for ChatGPT. We are telling that. Why we should tell that? And then give them some punishment in terms of numbers. Why not we take challenge that we tell them how to ask better questions? And I tell you, you don't need to go to ChatGPT to search answers. Google is enough. Google search engine is enough. That is enough. But you, to have precision, you need to have a training much before that, so that you can actually make use of, the way you have to make use of Google to understand what is a wrong website, which is an influenced website, which is a non-partisan website. The same way, for AI to be used, we need to have that sort of knowledge training. This is the challenge of media and communication teachers and of our syllabi and pedagogy. We need to shift from our approach to train our students. Second, how we can do that? See, we need to have ingrained in students the ontological understanding. That is, what type of typification we should do. If we have to, yeah, I'll finish within next 5 minutes. It's 18, so by 25 I'll come. So, yes, have felicitation আছে না আমাদেরটা তো করে দিয়েছে yeah. So the ontology, what are the characteristics? We must know what is the colonial thinking based writings, perspectives of the same fact which ChatGPT will produce for us. We must know what is the decolonial ChatGPT will produce for us. But before that we must know who are these people who had worked in that approach. Otherwise we can't ask question. And what is the holistic, going much before the decolonial also. Because our area of concern is sociological, economic, cultural, and as well as dharmic also. And also governmental also, samajik also. Within that, the newspapering, journalism, everything has to work. So what is the third point? The third is, we must have tautological sensibility. From the very beginning of the civilization, the same thing has been told by people in different ways, but giving the same meaning. So nothing is better than the other. Why we require it? To stop plagiarism in the journalism front in newsrooms. We must make the language training of our students of such a high caliber that they are able to present the same through other words and other sentences. Tomorrow, with bringing down the time due to AI, this should actually help our newsrooms to be unique in their own way for their customer bases. Otherwise, the world is very flat. So these are the challenges we have to have, and we must have a normative regime for it. Use of AI, what should be our normative regime? And our media law and ethics paper should be completely overhauled, not rehauled, overhauled. Because the ethico-legal questions arising in this stage must be learned through case studies. These are my 5 suggestions which actually came out from them, and also in my article I have suggested that. Thank you. Now I leave it to our these sessions rapporteur, moderator, etc. Professor Devavani Mukherjee.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Professor Loho Chaudhary. So we had an awesome igniting session, and generally conferences and seminars and conclaves are arranged so that the students can participate, they can get connected to the renowned professors across the country, and they can learn. But in this session, I particularly learned so much that I cannot keep my limitation to the students in learning. We are also learning, and we have learned. Since the chairperson, Professor Loho Chaudhary, is over with his final address, we would now like to felicitate the dignitaries sitting on the stage. Esteemed guests on the dais. The 8th National Media Conclave, Media in AI Era. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for your awesome speech. Thank you, Mr. Siva Banerjee, for giving us a business analysis on how AI can be useful or not useful. And the last but not the least, Mr. Sinha, who has really struck our minds with AI. We're really thoughtful about it with the CCC. Thank you so much for coming to the session.
session is over. Those members of Indian Communication Congress, if you have any problem or any issue or to talk about anything, we can talk outside. We'll be waiting outside. Okay?
Within next 5 minutes, we are initiating our next plenary session. So please don't leave your seats, or if you leave also, please come back within 2 minutes. Thank you so much for your patient hearing.
Namaskar, Jai Jagannath. Very good morning. I welcome you all to the next plenary session of 8th National Media Conclave. We have our honorable guest today. All have arrived here. Professor Kishore Kumar Basa, Chairman, National Monument Authority, New Delhi. He is the chairperson for this session. Professor Surya Narayan Misra, Professor Nisamani Kar, Professor Soma Chand, Dr. Gaurahari Das, and I am Dr. Fakir Mohan Nahak, moderator of the session. I welcome you, sir, to this session. I would like to request our Professor Padhi to felicitate with flower bouquet, and prior to that we will go for the flower tribute to Sri Hare Krishna Mahatap. Now Professor Padhi, welcoming all the guests. अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुर्निमीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. The teacher who wiped all the darkness of ignorance from my eyes by giving his knowledge and brightening my horizons. I bow my head before all those gurus present over here on the dais and off the dais. And dear ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this 5th plenary session of 8th National Media Conclave organized by Institute of Media Studies, Utkal University, Bhubaneswar. Dear ladies and gentlemen, today we have the topic for discussion is Dr. Hare Krishna Mahatab, the architect of modern Odisha. On this topic, the deliberations by our honorable guests, those who are on the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to introduce a distinguished personality whose contributions to the field of archaeology, heritage conservation, academia are truly remarkable. Professor Kishore Kumar Basa, Chairman of the National Monument Authority, NMA, New Delhi. Welcome you, sir. Professor Basa is a respected archaeologist, renowned for his extensive research in prehistoric archaeology, tribal art, and heritage management. With over 3 decades of experience, he has served in various capacities, including as the Director of Indian Museum, Kolkata, and as a professor and head of the Department for Anthropology at Utkal University. His academic brilliance is reflected in his numerous publications and leadership in significant archaeological excavations. As chairman of the NMA, Professor Basa plays a pivotal role in preserving India's monuments and cultural heritage, ensuring that our history is safeguarded for future generations. His leadership is marked by a balance of scholarly insight and administrative acumen, making him a torchbearer for India's rich cultural legacy. We are truly honored to have Professor Basa with us today as the chairman of this session. Welcome you, sir. Namaskar. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great privilege to introduce an eminent scholar, an inspiring educator, and a profound historian, Professor Soma Chand, former professor of history at Utkal University, Bhubaneswar. Professor Chand is a distinguished academic with an illustrious career dedicated to the study and teaching of history. Her expertise spans a wide array of historical themes with a special focus on Odisha's rich cultural and historical heritage. As a faculty member at Utkal University, she was known for her engaging teaching style, meticulous research, and her ability to spark a passion for history among her students. Throughout her career, Professor Chand has made significant contributions to historical scholarship, authoring numerous publications that have deepened our understanding of Odisha's role in India's historical tapestry. Her work continues to inspire both students and researchers in their pursuit of knowledge. Today, we welcome Professor Soma Chand as one of the renowned speakers for this session. Welcome you, ma'am. Namaskar. Dear ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to introduce an esteemed scholar, a dedicated educator, and a thought leader in political science, Professor Surya Narayan Misra, former professor of political science at Utkal University, Bhubaneswar. Professor Misra is a luminary in the field of political science, a political scientist known for his profound insights and scholarly contributions. Over his distinguished academic career, he has specialized in areas such as political theory, governance, and public administration, providing critical perspectives on contemporary political systems and democratic institutions. As a professor at Utkal University, Professor Misra was deeply admired for his dynamic teaching, thought-provoking discussions, and mentorship that nurtured generations of students. His extensive research and publications have enriched the academic discourse, bridging the gap between theoretical understanding and practical applications in the realm of political science. I just want to add here, sir was the coordinator there in Utkal University for the program Journalism and Mass Communication, and he mentored numerous students, those who are now working in different fields of media across the country. Welcome you, sir. It is an honor to have you here. We have today one of the eminent writers. It is a matter of pride to introduce an extraordinary personality who has made significant contributions to literature, journalism, and academia. Dr. Gaurahari Das, a renowned writer, journalist, and academician. Dr. Das currently serves as the convener of the advisory board of the Odia division at the Kendra Sahitya Academy, New Delhi. Dr. Das is a luminary in the world of Odia literature, celebrated for his evocative storytelling, insightful essays, and thought-provoking works that resonate with readers across generations. As a journalist, his sharp intellect and commitment to truth have earned him immense respect. His academic pursuits and efforts in nurturing young minds further underscore his multifaceted talent and dedicated to the dissemination of knowledge. We are honored to have Dr. Gaurahari Das with us today. Welcome you, sir. And I have a personal connection. I worked under his supervision in the organization where he is working now. Welcome you, sir. It is a privilege to have you here. Last but not least, we welcome Professor Nisa Manikar. He is a distinguished academic and an eminent scholar of cultural studies, Professor Nisa Manikar, who currently serves as the professor of the Bhima Bhoi chair at Utkal University of Culture, Bhubaneswar. He is a retired Group A officer from Ministry of Defense. Professor Kar is a renowned scholar. He holds a PhD from Vishwa and a postdoctoral fellow at OUCIP, Hyderabad. His publications include 7 books, including a critical analysis of Bhima Bhoi and the Mahima cult. He is a renowned figure in the study of philosophy, spirituality, and cultural heritage, particularly focusing on the life and teachings of Bhima Bhoi, the great saint and poet of Odisha. His scholarly work has been instrumental in shedding light on Bhima Bhoi's profound philosophy of compassion and universal brotherhood, which continues to inspire generations. Today, as we welcome Professor Nisa Manikar, please join me in giving a warm and hearty welcome to this esteemed scholar and cultural torchbearer, Professor Nisa Manikar. Please give a big hand. Welcome you, sir. Before we proceed, I want to bring to your notice that today's topic is Dr. Hare Krishna Mahatab, architect of modern Odisha. We are going to speak about Odisha's most illustrious leaders and visionaries, Dr. Hare Krishna Mahatab, fondly known as Utkal Keshari or Lion of Odisha. A stalwart of India's freedom struggle, a statesman and a writer, Dr. Mahatab played a pivotal role in shaping modern Odisha. Dr. Mahatab dedicated his life to the welfare and development of Odisha. As the first Chief Minister of Odisha, he spearheaded initiatives that laid the foundation for its socio-economic growth. Today, we remember him on his 125th birth anniversary, and now the forum is open for our honorable speakers. I would like to request our chairperson of this session, Professor Basha, to give his opening remarks.
A very good morning to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. We are assembled here to pay our tribute to one of the important makers of modern Odisha. He has also contributed, Dr. Hare Krishna Mahatab, on the occasion of his 125th birth anniversary. Although he is treated as one of the important architects of modern Odisha, I think he was also very well known as a freedom fighter in the entire nation as a whole. The very fact that Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose when he became the president of Indian National Congress in 1938. Dr. Harikushta Mahtab was one among the 12 working committee members of the Congress. So you could imagine being treated as one of the 12 leading leaders of this country at a very significant phase of our freedom struggle shows the importance Dr. Harikushta Mahtab had played in our national arena. Without wasting any time, because I think we are more eager to listen to our distinguished panelists, and I would request all the panelists to confine themselves to 10 minutes if it is not inconvenient. I'm not sure what would be the language. I mean, I would, in which language you would want to speak, or is there any specific instruction to speak in English? Okay, if it is up to you. I mean, anyway, the first speaker is Professor Soma Chand. Soma Chand is an historian. To me, she delves into different aspects of history, especially she is translating some of the important Bengali writings into Odia. So she is just not a historian, she is a literature and also a translator. Dr. Soma Chand, please.
A very good morning to you all, esteemed chairperson of the conclave, Basa sir, our revered teacher, Surya sir, esteemed Gaurhari Babu, and esteemed Nishamani Babu and Fakir Babu, esteemed convener of the seminar, and the learned elites, dear students. The topic for this seminar, subtopic for discussion is Mahtab, the architect of modern Odisha. Before going to start with the topic, this is the 8th National Media Conclave, and when I entered into this hall, the discussion was going on media in AI era, and I had the chance to listen to the discourse by Sinha Abu, and I liked it so much. From artificial intelligence, now we are going to commemorate 125th birth anniversary of Mahtab. So from science and technology to history, and as I am a student of history, I don't have that audacity to call myself as a teacher of history like Mahtab. Mahtab never called himself as a historian, rather very humbly, in a very modest way, he has categorically mentioned himself as a collator. Who is a collator? A collector is he who collects the material and presents it in a very systematic way. When Basa sir was giving my introduction, he told me, or he gave my introduction, that Soma Chand is a historian, but I am a historian, not a historiographer. Mahtab liked to call himself as collator, but he is a historiographer. He set a number of new trends in history, which I am going to discuss. A multifaceted personality, जोटाको आमे कहू बहुमुखी व्यक्तित्व. He has got his traits in several aspects of history. In several aspects as a human being, he was the beloved Raja of Agarpada. He was a brave freedom fighter. He was a renowned literator. He was an astute statesman, a master strategist, and a very unknown aspect of Mahata was he was a tablaist and he was a fortune teller. He could play on tabla and he could tell your fortune, as known from the writings of Kalicharan Patnaik in his autobiography Kumbharachaka. And last but not the least, he was widely acclaimed and highly honored historiographer. And my discussion in this class will center around the last aspect. And I will start from the point of Basa sir. He started in the year 1938 when Mahata was the member in the All India Congress Working Committee, and he was the youngest one. And in the year 1942, when the Quit India movement it started, on the very day, 9th August 1942, those 12 members, all the 12 members of Congress Working Committee, they were simply taken away by the British authorities to the Ahmednagar Fort jail. And there they spent 3.5 years staying together. As I am going to start with the historiography, the contribution of Mahata to the writing of Odissan history. Dear students, maximum of you are from journalism. You know what is an architect. An architect is he who designs or who supervises the plan or an undertaking. Mahata had in his eyes the plan of Odisha. He left his study in 1919 halfway from Ravenshaw College. Then I am not going to focus on his activities, but my point of discussion that during that time, 2 books he has written, Palasi Rabashane, Dasavarshar Odisha, which were proscribed. His passion for history, se jo duita bohi lekhithile, Palasi Rabashane, Dasavarshar Odisha nisiddha heithila. So at the prime of his career, his books were proscribed. But when he was in Ahmednagar Fort jail, there his passion for history, his fascination for history, his devotion for history, it developed to such a great extent that he went on writing the history of Orissa. It was the time he used to spend time with Acharya Kripalini, Jawaharlal Nehru, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, and coming in contact with them. When Nehru was busy, it was during this period Nehru had written Discovery of India in 5 months. You will get a vivid picture of their life of 3.5 years in Ahmednagar Fort jail in the book Feathers and Stones by Pattabi Sitaramaya. Pattabi Sitaramaya भी सेतरे थिले एवं तांकर जो बहिटा अछि Feathers and Stones, केमिति these top ranking leaders, how they were spending their time, पढ़ुथिले, लेखुथिले, badminton खेलुथिले, and Mahata was the youngest one, 44 years of age. And what was his duty? से छोट पिला खेलिबे कोन? से shuttlecock टाको गोटेइकी देबे. So he was not allowed to play with the senior members. So he used to pick up the shuttlecock at the time of their badminton play, and what he used to do after 2 to 3 days, आरंभ कले मु आउ देई परिबिनी मोर अंटा बथा होची, I have my pain. So all these things, but these leaders, they spent their time in such a constructive way. Mahata started writing the history of Orissa. Historiography is the history of history writing. What is the meaning of historiography? Prior to him, we find out in year 1840, one Christian missionary, Arms Sutton, he had for the first time written the history of Orissa. प्रथम थर करी ओडिशा इतिहास लिखुचंती जने पाद्री. Christian missionary Arms Sutton, अथ इतिहास सार संग्रह विवरण आदि संक्षेप. The second attempt was by a Bengali, Shivchandra Shom, who in the year 1867, who had written Odisha Itihas. The year was 1879 when an Oriya wrote the history of Orissa, Pyari Mohan Acharya. In 1915, Krupasindhu Mishra, But all these history books were not exhaustive. In the sense, materials were very less, very scanty materials. So naturally, they did not have a full-fledged history of Orissa. The credit goes to this person. Mahatab, during the three and a half year tenure of his prison career, he wrote and completed History of Orissa. And after completing History of Orissa, we find out that in 1949, by that time, already India had become independent, and he was by that time the Prime Minister of Orissa. The designation of Chief Minister was the Prime Minister, 46 to 50. Indian History Congress, his passion for history, dear students who are listening to me, you must know the importance of history. We are talking of Odia Asmita. We are talking of Odia heritage, Odia tradition, Baliyatra Gala. Everything is related to our history. Unless and until one is acquainted with the history of a state, history of your region, you cannot know the people and your region properly. I am being reminded of the remarks what Madhubabu had told in his Jati Itihasa poem. Jati Itihasa, Jatira Nirchara, Tohu Bahe Sada, Jati Pranadhara, Sedhararu Nira, Piyuchi Jenara, Nishche Habase, Jati Karmavira. So that is the significance of Jati Itihasa. We must know the history. So Jati Itihasa, Jatira Nirchara, it is just like a fountain. So the history flows like the fountain, and if we will take water from that fountain, we will be saturated with the history of the region, history of its people, history of our area. Mahatab now did the same thing. His History of Orissa, which he wrote, it was published afterwards, but Indian History Congress, which was one of the premier organization of India, he as the chief patron, as the Prime Minister of Orissa from 46 to 50, he as the chief patron now took the opportunity and he organized the Indian History Congress session at Ravenshaw College. That is his credit in 1949, where the learned historians, Ramesh Chandra Majumdar, Kalikinkar Dutt, they came and attended it. Then we find out in 1950, when he was in the power and position, he donated 25,000 to Utkal University for the publication of manuscripts. Then we find out in 1957, museum, the present museum which was in Bhubaneswar, which was in Ravenshaw College, that was transferred to its present campus at Bhubaneswar. Odisha State Archives, it came into existence in 1960. Odisha State Archaeology Cell, you saw the passion for history of this man, but never claims himself as a historian. Rather, we, the succeeding generation, has designated him as a pioneer historiographer of the state. And what he did, we find out in 1964, another important thing, 5 volumes. He became the chief editor of 5 volumes of History of a Freedom Movement in Orissa. He was the chief editor, assisted by Sudhakar Patnaik, Ghanashyam Das, Sushil Chandra De. So the entire freedom struggle of Orissa was published in 5 volumes under his chief editorship. And what he did, in 1964, there was a project in the Utkal University to publish the entire history of Orissa. The first book was published in 1964, History of Orissa by N.K. Sahu. 18 pages he has devoted writing the introduction of the book. You see the interest of this man in the ancient period of Orissan history. The book deals with the ancient phase, and he has devoted 18 pages in writing the introduction. Coming to his own locality, the district of Bhadrak, you know that now, as I had told you earlier, the Asmita identity. Bhadrak is identified in the cultural level for Mughal Tamsa. Mughal Tamsa is a unique caricature, which is a combination of different types of languages, Bengali, Odia, Persian, etc., Urdu, etc. And they were in manuscript form. In 1964, Krishna Chandra Behera, the renowned eminent literature, he brought it into the book form, and Mahatab now wrote the introduction. So the present Mughal Tamsa, which you must have observed in TV also, because it is in the TV telecast, you will find out that Mughal Tamsa in 1965, the introduction was written by Mahatab. So the whole thing is this, that the interest of Mahatab, then so far as Odisha History Congress is concerned, he had also active interest. He died in 1987, but in 1986, he had his writings in the Proceedings of Indian Odisha History Congress, because you find out that he had himself attended the Congress, presented the paper. 6 to 7 times he has attended Indian History Congress. And what was his observation, or what was his characteristics, the main traits of his writing? We find out proper historical analysis. The modern historiography, we find out proper historical analysis, and here also we find out the proper historical analysis. Then interdisciplinary approach. Bhuya, bhui, bhoi. You will find out bhuya, scheduled caste achanti, khandayata achanti, bhoira achanti, kshatriya mane, brahmana mane. So there must be the study along with anthropology, sociology and history, interdisciplinary approach. So 50 years back, even though he wrote it, he was much ahead of his time. Then we find out a pan-Odia outlook. Another important thing he pointed out, pan-Odia outlook, all Odia outlook. And one important thing I must tell, that Jagannath temple, several times it has been attacked by the outsiders. Mahatab analyzed that even though temple has been attacked, the शासन्स प्रत्येक जगन्नाथ मंदिर को लेकिन गजपति राजा मैंने बहुत शासन सृष्टि करथिले, अनेक ब्राह्मण शासन पुरी रे अछि. दे बिकेम द कस्टोडियंस ऑफ द टेम्पल, जोटा कि कोणार्क ते करि नथिले नरसिंह देव करिथिले, हुए तो कोणार्क टेम्पल टा सेव हेई पारि थांता. दैट वाज हिज एनालिसिस. आई एम टॉकिंग दैट ए मैन एट द beginning stage of the history writing in Odisha, the way he is analyzing, the way his reasoning approach, his perception of things, it all deserves a very modern temperament. So to be an architect, the very first important thing, a proper historical knowledge of the region, knowledge of the people, and knowledge of the surrounding which he had. I have just discussed a very less discussed aspect of Mahatab, not a very, it is unexplored, so to say. Jagannath Mahatab as a historiographer, with this time is over. Now the other, again I must extend my gratefulness to the organizers of the seminar for giving me the opportunity to share my feelings with you. Thank you all.
I must apologize because I know Soma has done extensive research on Dr. Mahatab's history and historiography, and it is very difficult to ask a scholar to confine everything into 10 minutes. But you know, when you become chairman, you have to do the most unwanted and the most unpleasant job. And Dr. Padhi perhaps thought that I should become very unpopular here so that I can rush back to Delhi at the earliest opportunity. Having said that, I think Soma threw light on the historical dimension. Mahatab as a historian, Mahatab as a student of historiography. Now, may I request my senior colleague, Professor Suryanarayan Mishra, former professor of political science, and I'm sure he will bring out another dimension of Dr. Mahatab, the political dimensions, how he was a politician, how he was a chief minister, and that dimension, and how he was an industry minister. That kind of stuff, hopefully he will bring. And Professor Suryanarayan Mishra, please.
Esteemed chairperson, respected panelists, and very distinguished audience along with student friends. As indicated by the chair, I will not touch those areas which my predecessor, Madam Chand, has given a live profile of late lamented Dr. Harikrishna Mahtab. I'll simply say that I am honored today to be in the midst of the jewels of the media world. I remember Upendra Babu will also agree with me that when Institute of Media Studies was tied with Utkal University, with Dr. Umakant Mishra and myself were the inspectors for that purpose. And when I see this is the 8th conclave, very rare in the history of Odisha's media fraternity, and that too, including Dr. Harikrishna Mahtab, a visionary, a statesman, a historian, a literature, and a politician, the most misunderstood and least understood person of Odisha. And 125 years, I am given time for 12.5 minutes. What to speak, how to speak, and where to begin and how to conclude. It's a difficult task for a student of political science like me. I'll only say that imagine the state which is known for the great famine of 1866. If it is roaring today, the plinth was set by Dr. Harikrishna Mahtab. That Odisha is not the land of Lord Jagannath only. Creative brains are available also in the state. Imagine his contemporaries. From Assam, Gopinath Bardoloi. From Bengal, for a brief period, Prafula Chandra Ghosh and then Bidhan Chandra Ray. And from Bihar, Sri Krishna Sinha. From UP, Govind Ballabh Pant. From Rajasthan, after a couple of years, the gentleman whose name is now only available in the University of J. Vyas, University of Udaipur, B.G. Kher in Bombay, in Saurashtra, U.N. Devar, Gujarat was not then, Chinnappa Reddy in Mysore, Rajgopalachari in Madras, then there it was not Tamil Nadu, and Pattam Tanufulai of not then Kerala, but he was the leader of that region. So they were the persons who were known to Dr. Mahtab, and they knew Dr. Mahtab what material he is. You are talking about artificial intelligence in this media conflict. He was a natural intelligent man. His responses were so cute, and also he will put you a new thought into your time. I have brief interaction with him from 1967 to 1986. This is the period. In 1967, we became the supporters of Jana Congress. One of my relations, Bimal Krishna Mishra, was contesting from Puri. Madam Kuntala Kumari Acharya, who is alive today also, he brought me to Bhubaneswar residence of Dr. Mahtab. And within couple of minutes, he mesmerized me. I was a young, only 17 years old. In 1969, when there was a student strike, in 1969, two persons arrived at my Puri residence. Prashant Das, advocate, who is called Montu Babu. Another is Surendra Singh Bhanjadev, probably he is dead now. They came to me and told that Dr. Mahtab wants to talk to you. he is in Circuit House. So Prafulla Mahanti, who was the representative of Prajatantra in Puri, he escorted me to that place. He told me, you are the president of the Students' Union. It's your duty. Many people are writing to me that 1 month and 10 days have gone. No result has come out of the student strike. Vijayananda, not Biju, he always calls Vijayananda. Vijayananda is adding fuel to the fire. And Maharaja has a lock in his face, a mouth. How to solve this problem? You are going to be a graduate. Think some via media. I said, why don't you write? That is your government. Jana Congress and Swatantra government is there. He said, I will write. But are you all willing to come to that meeting? On 2nd of October 1969, there was a whole night long student and Chief Minister interaction. I was escorted by my principal, Dr. Srinivas Sahu. Dr. Mohendra Kumar Raut came from GM. And B.B. Rath, Bipin Bihari Rath, was the Home Secretary of India, Odisha. They were all present, and we had a 12-hour long discussion. At 8 o'clock in the morning, it was over. And the strike came to an end with most of our demands were solved. So that was the personality who has a vision. He said, who is getting benefit out of this? Do you think Arun Dey and Amitabh Bachchan, they are getting benefit out of this? Because they are lifetime students. They will continue, that strike should continue. But you are our students, you must have, at the end of the year, you must have a degree. So he could understand the problem of the students. And we are talking about that man who had a great personality. Think about, there would not have been a Dr. Mahtab. He was not born, he was unfortunate to be born in Odisha, and Odisha is fortunate to have him. That is the equation. Had he not been born here, what would have happened to the present territorial presentation of Odisha? Think about the 26 Prince ruled states and the idea of governance they nourished at that point of time, and the way Dr. Mahtab, who entered into some kind of a peripheral politics in 1921, withdrawing himself from the studentship after seeing non-cooperation movement, becoming from 1924 active politician by becoming the president of the Baleswar District Congress Committee, then becoming president of the committee, Odisha Pradesh Congress Committee in 1930, is second to none, but I would say he was an ardent supporter of two Odiyas, Gopabandhu Das and Utkal Gaurav Madhusudan, and a follower of Mahatma Gandhi, Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, and is liked by Netaji Subhash Bose, not because he was born at Cuttack. Two personalities have some kind of ecosystem exchange between the two. So between 1930 to 1940, Mahtab was in action. So it's 25 years from 1921 to 1946 when he became the first Prime Minister of Odisha, full Congress. It was not supported by anybody else. So with 91 legislators in the House, he was the first in October 19 October 1946, he became the Prime Minister and then became Prime Minister of independent Odisha till, because it was a province, till 26th of January 1950. And the way he commanded respect among the people of princely states, the way he guided the state reorganization, reactivities, amalgamation of the princely states or Ganjat area, by pioneering a movement, pro-democracy movement in those areas, starting from Nilagiri, but unfortunately being close to Mr. Sardar Patel, he was called back to Delhi from May 1950. Sardar died on 15th of December 1950. That was the end of the day. Nehru didn't like him personally because of his closeness. with Sardar Patel. But he was a Minister of Commerce and Industry, and he also could rise to the occasion by becoming an international figure during his ministership. You will find only one Odia whose photograph is in BBC. You will find one Odia sitting with Albert Einstein in Princeton University giving 2 lectures, close to Mountbatten, close to Madam Elizabeth, Queen Elizabeth. And who didn't know him? That means a towering personality, a master strategist who created half a dozen chief ministers in the state, followers who could not follow his, say, mission and vision. Because all of them, somehow or other, they went into the area of the media world, but ultimately backstabbed him. Because Secret Session continued from 15th of August to, say, July 1961. Dr. Mahatab could have continued from 19th October 1946 till 1962 election in the state. Unfortunately, ambition stood in the way. Some people's ambitions. And the way he could teach Maharajas a lesson in the both the occasion, 1952 and 1957 election. Imagine in a post, had there been Dr. Mahatab available as Chief Minister, Saraikala Khoraswa would not have been parted away from Odisha. He was instrumental in amalgamating 23 and forcefully another Mahurbanj was added. Kishore is from that land, independent country, till 31st of December 1948. It amalgamated with Odisha on 1st of January 1949. And that man could not have even tolerated Saraikala Khoraswa being taken away from Odisha. Because he was not there, a weak leadership here could not bring. The leader was having some other socio-economic concepts. He was a leader by his style. But in these matters, he was overwhelmingly dominated by Nehru and Rajendra Prasad. So we lost 2 of our famous Karjat area, Saraikala and Khoraswa. And see, the gentleman about whom we are talking, in 1952, the first election, he was elected to Lok Sabha, but was not given a ministerial berth because he was close to Sardar Patel. Nobody from Odisha was there in the cabinet. And he was given the role of AICC, Congress Parliamentary Party General Secretaryship. And he could show his talent in conducting meetings and directing even ministers. Imagine the person was a new caliber. Politicians came into politics. But what is their social root? Here is a man who came from an aristocratic background, knew about the pulse of the nation, had a society connect. He could know what the people want, what they need. So he was writing to the ministers about them. If you read, while serving my nation, from latter part of his life, his letters to different people. And as AICC General Secretary, the way he dominated, he was not tolerated. He was shifted to Bombay as governor, but his heart was in Odisha. He saw that what work I began in 1946, that amalgamation, creating, imagine today we are suffering for water. Mahanadi would have been completely not with water but with sands had not Hirakud Dam been constructed. So he had the imagination that someday, somehow or other, there would be a problem of water in this country after independence. So he could take initiative about the steel plant, the magnum opus of the steel culture in Odisha, bringing a separate high court. Even Northeast could not get full-fledged courts, so he got high court. Having All India Radio at Cuttack, what he has not done for the field of culture, for the field of development of literature, for expansion of social democracy. See, in Balasore, if you see, both primary health centers, schools, they were in much better form because she was a Dr. Mahtab's, that area enjoyed blessings of Dr. Mahtab. So Dr. Mahtab could not reside in the Rajbhavan of Bombay. He was crying for that, and that evidence of that was given when he was addressing the convocation of Utkal University, that my heart is burning for the state. He came back. Had he not come back in 1956, before 1957 election, Congress would have drawn zero. The way Congress, after the SRC movement, was at the lowest ebb of its life in Odisha prior to 1967, it was because of Dr. Mahtab. 57 seats could be won in the House of 140. And 57 is contribution of Dr. Mahtab. Everybody said that Dr. Mahtab could not make. Dr. Mahtab made 0 to 57. That is his personality. So if you think about a modern Odisha, if you look at the infra development he did, the way the society connect programs were being conducted by him, you can ensure yourself that you are in the safe hands of the politicians he had created. But unfortunately, we had a blitzkrieg in our state that we cannot tolerate the next one. The person whom we respect, the moment he leaves the podium, we speak ill of him. That is our character.
Professor Mishra, you have to wind up, please.
Once Dr. Mahtab, when I joined Ravenshaw College as a lecturer, I was overwhelmed by his personality. I tried to meet him. So I gave my identity. I went to see a matinee show in Suraj Takich, and there is the Bihari Bagh. I went there. Few people could know me, and among them was Prasanta Das or Mantu Babu. Sir, you have come here? He introduced me. Sujanarana Babu ko mujhe aani chi. So from that day, our relationship developed. In 1975, one article was published after the Gujarat election, Navadirman Samiti. The title of the article was Gujarat Pore, before emergency. In the evening when I was there, Dr. Mahtab
Professor Mishra, you
asked me,
have to wind up, please.
Dr. Mahtab asked me that you have written a good article, but what is the next discuss? Aji ଆମ ଦେଶରେ ସାମ୍ବିଧାନିକ ସଂକଟ ନା ଅନୁଷ୍ଠାନର ଅବକ୍ଷୟ ଘଟିଛି. The meaning is whether there is a constitutional inadequacy or institutional decay. What is the message you are trying to give in that article? I said both. That there is also constitutional inadequacy and there is also institutional decay. Now then write some articles in support of your argument how to remove inadequacies and also to save the institutional decay from destruction. That was his last advice sometime on 12th or 13th of June, 12th or 13th of June 1975. Then came emergency. After emergency, I had met him only once with Dr. M.N. Das, our Vice Chancellor, requesting him to write something about making Utkal University a central university. He said, why not having a new university? Why to have the old university designated Utkal be Utkal? Should not be central. I am not Amitabh Bachchan. Amitabh Bachchan failed to make Allahabad University central university. Manmoth Nath, so I may say request, but don't make such request to me. So here is a man who thought about the next century. Here is a man who created leaders in Odisha. Here is a man who had all materials in him. Natural intelligence, no artificial intelligence was required for him. He has excelled in every walk of life. Last 10 years of his life was totally apolitical. And that totally apolitical, his writings, his messages were excellent. And on a day like this, when we are discussing about a great personality, towering personality, I am a pygmy before the galore of politicians in this country. But my hearts are up for the person who made something for Odisha and who could make Odisha known to others. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Mishra, for your panoramic review of Dr. Harikrishna Mahtab, may I request Mr. Dr. Gaurari Das, eminent writer, journalist, to speak on Dr. Mahtab, but I would expect certainly that his journalistic career must be brought out, because that is another important aspect of Dr. Mahtab.
Good afternoon, esteemed Professor Mr. Basa, Professor Chand, Professor Mishra, and other panelists, and dear friends. Dr. Harikrishna Mahtab was a legend. He was a legend in his lifetime too. There are so many anecdotes and stories. Most of them are rumors, hearsays about Mahtab. Because this, my friends, you look too serious for the seminar, for this session. There are so many rumors like anecdotes regarding about Harikrishna Mahtab. The Harikrishna Mahtab, one good thing was about him, he was a legendary, he was outstanding, and so far his punctuality was concerned. People of Cuttack and Bhubaneswar, they could match their watch with his travel from Bhubaneswar to Cuttack every day afternoon. There are also rumors that Mahtab used 2 pens and 2 telephones. There was one black and other one was red. But I am here to talk about few things about his contribution to the field of literature and journalism. Dr. Harikrishna Mahtab understood it well that literature was the parallel history of human civilization. He was a historian too, but he was a greater writer, greater author. If you look at his contribution in the field of literature, it will run to more than 100 titles. He has written in every genre of literature: poetry, drama, novels, fictions, essays. He used to write his regular column Ga Majlis in Prajatantra. And happy, I think I am fortunate because he is probably the only chief minister from Odisha who has won Sahitya Academy Award for in creative literature. J.B. Patnaik and Nandini Satwat have also won Sahitya Academy Award, but they have won Sahitya Academy Award in the field of translation. But Dr. Harikrishna Mahtab has won Sahitya Academy Award in creative journal for his 3rd volume of Ga Majlis. Harikrishna Mahtab has written several novels, and one of his novels is Pratibha, and we are witnessing Pratibha's drama in Rabindra Mandap yesterday. Even after so many years of it was written, it still brings people together, and there is a Rabindra Mandap auditorium was packed to its limit. Dr. Harikrishna Mahtab has written, he started his career as a writer from very young age when he was in school. He was in school in 1917-18. He started a handwritten magazine Malaya and in English Dustbin. Then he started Swaraj Samachar in 1922 and Prajatantra in 1923. I need not elaborate about Prajatantra because that is what all of us will know. And he was the first person who started English newspaper in Odisha, that is Eastern Times, in 1949, 1st of April. His contribution to the field of literature is not only confined to bringing out Prajatantra. He contributed in the field of children's literature through Meena Bazaar, to serious literature through Jhankar, and his greatest contribution is annual conference of writers, that is Vishwa Milan. I think Vishwa Milan paved way for so many people to follow, and to date it is considered as a most important seminar, it's an important meeting or function of creative writers of the state. So in this way, we can draw a parallel with Utkalman Gopabandhu Das, because Utkalman Gopabandhu Das was also an eminent journalist, a creative writer, and a freedom fighter. So also Dr. Harkrishna Mohta was also a journalist, an editor, creative writer, and also a freedom fighter and politician and diplomat. He has written several books, anthology of poems like Nigara Nishwana, Punyatma Gopabandhu, Palasi Abasani. He has also translated Valmiki Ramayana and Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And he has also written some of the kavyas, and his novels are Ajab Dunya, Nutan Dharma, Pratibha, I have already mentioned, Touter, Abhyapar, Tritiya Parva, 1975, 75 you know, that is famous and infamous for emergency. Then emergency in the heaven or Swargar emergency. He has written several stories. Those are published in his own magazine Jhankar from 59 onwards, and there are, I think they are in hundreds in number. He has also written, Professor Chand was mentioning about Dasavarsar Odisha. He has written Sadhanar Pathe, is a very important autobiography, and another is Arab Sagar Chilika, because he was the governor of Mumbai under by date, and from Chilika, Arab Sagar Chilika. And I have already mentioned about the Gam Majlis, and through Gam Majlis he wanted to connect with the common people, because he understood one thing well. You may think like a wise man, you may think like an intellectual, but you have to communicate in the words of a common man. If people don't understand you, or you don't communicate in their language, so there will total disconnect. Whosoever you may be, your literature will not be accepted. That is why Harikrishna Mohta, like other Vinod Kanungo and other Utkalman Gopabandhu Das, they played with language, they have used common language to communicate with people, but they have discussed about a lot more important issues. If you go through Gam Majlis, one of which compilation now also available in Hindi and English, it was only released day before yesterday in Delhi, where Professor Basa was also there by President of India. So I think it will reach a larger audience, his writings on Gam Majlis, which he was writing for his newspaper, Prajatantra. And he's also written some of the books in English, except history. He has also written Reconciliation of a Congressman while serving my nation, Gandhiji, political leader, and he also published some of his essays. He used to deliver a very interesting, very important speech in the inaugural session of Bishop Medan each year. And those essays, they dealt with literature, culture, history, sociology, anthropology, and so on and so forth. And those were also these essays have been compiled and published in books like Sahitya Alochana, Vishub Abhinandan, and Sahitya Marga Unmochana. I won't deal up with the history of Odisha because Professor Soma Chand has already discussed about this. So that is how his contribution to the Odia literature. He was a poet, he was a writer, he was a novelist, he was a fictionist, and most of people must be, I don't think whether you know it now, he was also, he's acted in drama also, theatre. Somebody told me yesterday that Mohta also, he played a role in his drama while he was in Ravenshaw College. So in this way, his contribution to the field of literature is immense, and it cannot be overlooked. Though he was a very powerful politician, he is considered to be the Chanakya of Indian politics, who has made, he was a king and a kingmaker, both literally and metaphorically, because at least 4 of his disciples, they rose up to being the chief minister of Odisha, like Birani Mitra, Nilamani Rautra, Biju Patnaik, and again J.B. Patnaik, Janaki Vallabh Patnaik. But he was also, I think that was the trend of that his period, because almost all the politicians like Gandhi, Nehru, Gopabandhu Das, they used to write, also contribute to the field of literature, and for them literature and language was the weapon to connect with the common people. Whatever they were thinking, whatever they were planning to do, they were also connecting with the people through their writing, through their editorials, and through the literature. So that is how Harikrishna Mahatab was a pathfinder. He was a very eminent person. His outstanding contribution to literature also cannot be overlooked, though he was a eminent political leader and a statesman. Again, once again, I must pay my tribute to Harikrishna Mahatab and give a profuse thanks to Professor Upendra Padi for inviting me to this conclave. And for a long period, Harikrishna Mahatab was overlooked, if not ignored, but now time has come. He was not only a Sabyasachi of Indian politics, he was a Trilochana. Because so now time has come. Again, Harikrishna Mahatab has come up to the limelight, and I am sure he will, even though it is late, Harikrishna Mahatab will give his dues, whatever he deserves for. With these few words, is my time up? Okay. So I will also how he was connected to the common people and how he is popular as a leader, because he not only made, he is a disability chief minister, he has also brought Bashtam Pani, Manmat Das and so many eminent writers to the field of literature who were otherwise, they were ignored in his time. And how Harikrishna Mahatab was popular among the common men, students, I will give you a small example. Professor Manmat Das, who was Vice Chancellor of Utkal University, who was also a Member of Parliament of Rajya Sabha, he has written this anecdote in his, in his autobiography. At one point of time, there was a communal set-up class in Jaleswar in Bhogara area of Baleswar district. And Manmat Das thought, he was a student leader by that time, he thought probably if Harikrishna Mahatab was a prime minister of that time, I think 46, 47, before independence. If Harikrishna Mahatab can be invited to